Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and time to continue with the rest of Chapter 2 from the Rivals of Ixalan storyline. When we last left our friends, Angrath and Maya and Angelo, they were running through the jungle towards Orazca, just like everybody else in every other chapter for this entire damn story. So when they finally get just outside the city of Orazca after a very long run through the jungle, they see a sign that says, "Welcome to the lost city of Chimichanga." And Huatli turns to Angrath and she's like, "Oh crap, do you know what this means?" And he's like, "No, tell me what it means. What does it mean?" And then she was like, "Ay Dios mía. Todo al diablo, estamos en Mexico. We went too far north, Angrath. We're in Mexico. This isn't Orazca. This is Chimichanga, the lost city of silver instead of gold. It was built by the brave settler Jose Ole." Just kidding. I really don't want to read the rest of this crap. Okay, what's actually going on? So then when they're getting pretty close, he's actually like, I'm pretty sure that this immortal sun thing that you guys keep saying is in this place is what's affecting the magic of planeswalkers and preventing anybody from planeswalking out. And then she's like, all right, fair enough. Okay, so if we get there and we find out what outlets it's plugged into and then unplug it, where are you going to go first? And he goes, "I want to see my daughters." And she's like, "Oh my God, that is the single sweetest thing I have ever heard in my entire life." I'm not even going to read what they wrote there because what I said was way less stupid. She's like, "Okay, well, how long has it been since you've seen them?" And he's like, 14 years. And right when she's about to be like, "Oh my God, poor you," he says, "They drink the blood of your emperor with glee, idiot." Because remember, Minotaurs are uncivilized brutes, even though he has said more intelligent things than the entirety of the rest of society, s plural, on this crappy plane. And then it says if anything could have catapulted Maya and Angelo, out of this world, Angrath's personality would have done it. Planeswalker humor, you guys. It's a really good chimichanga. Well, this is actually chicken and cheese. It's not actually a breakfast one. So when they're running up on Orazca, they find like a temple or tomb or something with a big old bat carved into it. It's kind of weird. And then suddenly she remembers the story and she's like, "Oh, the bat of the east." And Angrath's like, what bat?" So apparently she's like, "Oh, the bat of the east," which, okay, spoiler alert, is obviously the original vampire Elenda. There's a legend that she put herself into an enchanted sleep. Because we're so in Phantasy Star 3 Generations of Doom right now, it's painful. Gee, does she have pink hair and use claw weapons? So then, of course, like the idiot in a horror movie, she's like, "Well, let's walk in." And Angrath is like, "What are you doing?" And of course she doesn't answer because there is no answer, because what is she doing? But because we have to move the story along, the second she was about to step in, she was like, "Oh my gosh, a pale white hand reaching out from the interior." She's like, "Oh, that's weird." So apparently the temple was like covered by like some kind of slab for like a doorway to like lock it shut or something. And she's just like reaching it, just open it like it's some crappy little light door. So then, no joke, Angrath blurts out, "You are Saint Elenda. You're the one the vampires never shut up about." And then Maya and Angelo was like, "Wait a minute, he knows about a legend that I don't know about, even though she literally just said that she's heard this legend and she's the bat of the east and she put herself in an enchanted sleep and she basically knows the whole story?" So Elenda's just like, "Oh, somebody woke up Orazca. That's cool." So then she's like, she notices that Maya and Angelo summoned a dinosaur. And she's like, "Why do you take up arms against me?" And Huatli's like, "I refuse to let the Legion of Dusk take the city. You invaders deserve a fate worse than death." And then she's like, "Oh, we're the invaders now?" And she's like, "I know all my people's stories about you and your Legion of Dusk. Would you like to hear them?" Oh my God, say no. Elenda, I swear to God, if you say yes, I'm going to have to read all them. And then these two sentences were a thing that's next on the page. Huatli's rage erupted. She recited a poem. That just really speaks for itself. So the poem was about how they're a bunch of dicks and they invaded, then they built the Adanto fort and blah, 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 Spanish people are evil. And then she asks, what did the Legion of Dusk come here for? Like, as if she doesn't know. Like, what the hell? Lady, you're the Legion of Dusk. You came here by evidence that you're here. The story is literally you. Why did you come here? Are you like dumb or something? And so Huatli's like, "Oh, to take what is not theirs. Why do you think that they came here for?" And by them, I mean you personally, because you're the oldest and you're from the Legion of Dusk and you're here, which means you came here. And so Elenda's like, "Oh, we're just trying to retrieve the one thing that is ours," which, implies that not the continent, not the city. So at least she's, being civil. And then she adds, all we want to do is like leave everybody else in peace. That was our most holy mission. Like, we're just here to get the immortal sun and piss off with it. And from what I understand, it was stolen from them. It was originally theirs, although the merfolk claim that it was originally theirs, although their side of the story makes no sense chronologically or logically. So then Angrath is like, hey, I got an idea. Why don't you tell the rest of your little vampire friends that? Let's go. And then Elenda like gets super pissed. She's like, hold up a second. I left the church with the knowledge of the ritual to turn myself into a vampire to take on my burden, and they used that to become invaders? Those dicks. So then Elenda's like, oh my god, I better like tell these guys what's up, because clearly they forgot my teachings. And then she just like vanishes like all Batman style. And so then Maya Angelou is like, oh my god, like how dare she? And then what's his name? Angrath is like, can we go now? You woke up, crazy vampire lady with the nice flowing hair. I mean, I don't get out of bed with that nice hair, let me just say. So he like just like crushes a tree with his chains, and she's like, oh my god, you're gonna draw attention to us. What was the point of that? And he's like, oh my god, you are way too easily distracted. We lost a lot of time by talking to that stupid vampire. And then she goes, well, she's a living saint who I wanted to give a piece of my mind. Okay, do we not all know somebody like that? Because I know multiple people like that. Hell, I'm a person like that. And the next section is very creatively titled Jace. You know, to tell you what we're in for here, let me just read the first sentence. Jace's insides had been drowned in emotion, squeezed with suffocating force, pinned to a line, and strung out in the wind. How about you build a bridge and get the hell over it? Oh my god, Jace is such a freaking low-T sissy ass. Oh, I have anxiety now. I'm depressed because my childhood. Wah. Basically, every single freaking SJW tard that works at Wizards, just in story form. They've taken Jace and just turned him into basically a bitchy SJW woman. Why couldn't they turn Nicol Bolas into some emotionally damaged, who's sensitive, vulnerable villain? At least that would be entertaining. This is just painful. But even this level of pain does not compare to what Jace had to suffer through in his life. Oh, poor him. He's such a victim. Let's all feel sad for him, guys. So him and Vraska are slowly climbing up the stairs to Orazca. I just realized Vraska and Orazca rhyme. Coincidence? I think so. And he's just like, yeah, it makes sense that if I hit my head on a rock that my mental abilities would start spilling out. That seems logical. He's like validating the author's work, and the author is writing it. Good job, author. Oh, now here's something actually interesting, okay? Get ready for this, guys. Pay attention, because this is huge. Huge, huge, huge. So he's looking at all the gold in Orazca, and he's like, he's basically doing what I would do, and instead of like, wow, this looks pretty, he's like, I wonder if they're using magic to reinforce gold, because it's actually kind of soft and malleable, and I feel like people would be walking up these steps a lot, but they're still in really good condition. Okay, that is not the important part, that's the lead up. And then he's like, hey, wait a minute, gold, that reminds me, gold scale, sandstone, heat, rough sand on his lips and in his eyes and in his throat. Yeah, in other words, what the hell is that place called? Space Egypt, whatever, I'm on Cat. AKA Space Egypt. He's like, broken, doomed friends. He was able to break into a dragon's mind, sense what the dragon's plan was, stop him from doing harm, and for a brief moment, he had done it. He saw the goal, the end game. So he just for a second, well, now remembers breaking into Nicol Bolas's mind, and he's like, oh, that's his plan. That's what the entire thing is supposed to do. So he now knows what his plan exactly precisely is, and now that he has his memories mostly back, although they're kind of flooding back and they're confusing him, so he's not quite straight yet, it'll be a hell of a lot easier to stop him, basically. So if he contacts the rest of the Gatewatch and is like, let's go, this is what he's doing, or at least meets with somebody to try to disrupt his plans or something, well, there you go. But we do know that at the end of the story, mega spoilers, hell, I'm not going to say it, screw it. You already know what I was going to say if you watch my other video, but I don't want to spoil it if you're watching these ones. And it does say the memory was a bit trickier to parse, which is a coding term. Apparently Jace is now an IT programmer. Jace tried to see if he could recall the details. The dragon noticed his presence, and he tried to retaliate by reading his own mind, but something intervened as the dragon tried to intrude, and everything went dark. That's interesting. So he's almost like, huh. But then it says, no luck. Jace frowned, frustrated. He wanted to remember the bits in between. He wanted to know the golden dragon's name. It's Nicol Bolas. He itched to put it together again so it would all make sense. So I guess he remembers being an Amonkhet, and then he remembers a mental battle with the dragon, and remembers his plan, but he doesn't know who he is, like who the dragon is, or what, like why he's remembering any of this. But I don't get that earlier line where it says the dragon noticed his presence, and tried to retaliate by reading his own mind, because I remember Jace was trying to screw with his mind. And then says, but something intervened as the dragon tried to intrude and everything went dark. That is like really wild. It seems like maybe Nicol Bolas was not the one who erased Jace's memories. Some kind of third party was there, which I seriously doubt Nicol Bolas wouldn't sense. I mean, come on. And that's what erased Jace's memory, to keep Nicol Bolas from retaliating by reading Jace's mind. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, so with that in mind, let me reread it again. The dragon noticed his presence and tried to retaliate by reading his own mind, but something intervened as the dragon tried to intrude and everything went dark. I mean, isn't that what that sounds like? So, I mean, it could have been Azor, I guess. I mean, it's not like Jace knew where the tablet thingy was, the Immortal Sun, and it sounds like Vraska was already on that mission. Because she was there for a couple months when Jace arrived. So she got that mission before Nicol Bolas showed up to Amonkhet. So that was like part 2 of his plan. This is definitely interesting. I'm just going to say the Eldrazi are involved and just leave it at that. Well, then Jace started remembering meeting Ugin, which I didn't know that he ever actually did. That's weird. Oh, wait, I think he talked with him about how to stop the Eldrazi or something, because he was the one, Ugin told him, remember they came as 3. I'm pretty sure he said that to Jace. Oh, this is interesting. So, when Jace was saying goodbye to Ugin, he said, good fortune, Jace Beleren, and then he said farewell and, flew away or whatever, I don't know. And then Jace is like, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this memory, because he's still trying to put his memories back together, and he says, oh, there it is. Like, he's inspecting the memory, like, within his own mind. He says there's a little tiny little obfuscating mental magic thing that the spirit dragon Ugin put inside of his head without him noticing. What is with dragons and mental magic? Actually, if you try to cast Mind Duel on any of the dragons in Exile 3, you get pretty much roasted, so that makes sense. Although my level 50 could take down a wizard in a mind duel like you wouldn't believe. One time I think I paralyzed him, and another time I stole all of his magic points, his spell points. Yeah, you don't want to mess around with my level 50 wizard. He will wreck your face. So he says, attached to that memory was a really simple little spell that just Ugin put in his head. It says, if somebody were to try to read his mind and find the memory of his encounter with Ugin, then the memory would be shrouded and he would be compelled to instantly planeswalk away to specifically Ixalan. So that implies that Ugin knows that Ixalan is a prison planet. He knows that Jace will be trapped there, which makes sense because, like anybody trying to read his mind would maybe planeswalk after him and then continue to try to read his mind. And it also points out that Ugin really, really, really does not want to know, or does not want others to know, that he's still alive. Now, how Jace knew that he was alive and where to meet with him, I have no idea. I didn't read that one at all. I actually thought it was Gideon that met with Ugin. I don't freaking know. So that is really interesting. So I'm thinking that Ugin is going to get in a big ol' fight with Nicol Bolas, which means that a future set, possibly Dominaria, is going to have Ugin and Nicol Bolas in it, possibly as cards. Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, a little bit of a long walk for that one, but I mean, doesn't it sound real? And then Jace is like, okay, so why did Ugin need to hide my memory of him? And why did he command me to come here of all places? And was I meant to be like some kind of lure? And then he's like, wait. More importantly, what did I find inside that golden dragon's mind before he erased mine? He literally says the golden dragon's mind before he erased my own. But then it says that Ugin was the one that would make his memory shrouded. I guess it's both. Like Ugin's memory shroud thing protected the memory, but then Nicol Bolas kind of erased Jace's memories. Or maybe it was some kind of collision and then his brain blue screened, I don't know, and then he had to reboot. And like you do with computers, he hit his head on a rock and then rebooted his brain. Don't try that at home. Dude, for all the crap I had to put up with at the beginning of this chapter, this is getting real, dude. This is like mystery and like lore progression and like some sci-fi crap and like magic and stuff, and whoa! I think honestly the chocolate and the caffeine is way still in my bloodstream too. I should not be this excited, but I am, so deal with it. So they reach the top, and Vraska's like, oh, okay, like, it's like a maze, I get it. So the staircase is, like, the only way really in, so if we would have climbed up some other way, we would have just been stuck. And then she says, thanks for falling down that waterfall. And Jace replies, no problem, let me know if I need to heave myself over the side of another. Oh, just get a room already, you two, my god. So she pulls out the compass, it basically like points to the center, which if you know how mazes work, doesn't really help you because you already knew it was at the center. In fact, I think it's a spider. You just, look towards the spider. Then she's like, Jace, for like the 100 millionth time, can you just send up an illusion to tell the crew where we are so that they can follow it? Because apparently Orazca is suddenly really easy to find. But then he's like, whoa, hold on a minute. He's like, oh my gosh, there's a mental presence here. And he tilted his head in the direction of the psychic noise because apparently that's how that works. Psychic ears confirmed. Seriously, psychic noise has directionalization that can be sensed by tilting your head. And Vraska's like, okay, what is it? And he's just like, it's big. Like, whatever it is, it's really big. So naturally, because Jace is a little pansy, he turns them both, it doesn't say invisible, but he says a wave of illusion. Oh, and he noticed that for some reason the spell was like exceptionally easy to cast. And this makes sense because remember, Kumena said that the closer that he walked to, even just getting in Orazca, but then as he walked through the maze, the closer he got to the center, the more powerful his magic got, or the more easily he could use mana or something like that. But it's like the same thing. So I guess it's like a proximity thing with the immortal sun. And then Kumena got thrown out a window by a vampire, which was the single greatest thing that has ever happened in any story ever. There's like, Kumena, you going out the window. And then on the way down, they're like, ha ha, flying fish pun. And then Vraska turns around and looks towards the staircase that just climbed, and she's like, oh, that's a giant dinosaur's head. Well, that's not good, because it says he, quote, towered over the city. And she's like, Jace, look at the giant dinosaur. Ay, Dios mío, Mary, Madre de Dios, en una tortilla en las noticias de la mañana en la televisión. Let's be honest, probably Channel 4. And then Jace is like, De veras, that's a pretty big dino. By the way, it's the flying white one, the Zatulpa Primal Dawn, which is like some 8 million foot tall pterodactyl thing. Jace is like, oh my god, every flap of its wings as it took off rustled the trees and rustled my jimmies. I'm too deep into meme culture. I cannot read the word rustled anymore. I can't do it. So then Jace is just like, wow, that's a big dinosaur. I wonder how it can fly when it's that big. And she's just like, oh my god, dinosaur! He's like, okay, chill, because we're super safe beneath my epic illusion of illusiontude. Hey, guess what, everybody? Jace just decided to stop being such a pansy. He stopped being such an emotional wreck and took his balls out of Vraska's purse. It says, and I quote, in that moment, Jace noticed a change within himself. The Jace of Zendikar and Innistrad and Ravnica had a nervous energy about him, persistently bored and disastrously introspective, constantly aware of the chasm of absent memory that was always on his mind's horizon. The Jace without a past, in other words, Ixalan Jace, was present, alert, comfortable no matter what the circumstances, and ready to face whatever might come his way. Because remember, they fought a bunch of pirate battles and crap. He remembered what it was like to be both, but recognized how much more natural it was to be the latter. That's because you're a man. Act like it, Jace. So the big old pterodactyl flies away, and then he drops his illusion, and oh, I get it. I was like, why did he do that? Because remember, the maze was talking to Kumena, and I thought the whole city was self-aware and telepathic. So I'm like, why would you drop the illusion? But no, it was literally the primal dinosaur flying thing. That was the mind that he was sensing. But it flew away, so everything's cool now. Kind of anticlimactic and a bit weird. Here's the thing, though, because this doesn't quite make sense. I believe it was the art book that leaked that said that whoever controls the immortal sun can super amplify whatever their existing abilities already are. And so if you're standing right next to it, I'm trying to think, I think they implied that Kumena could just summon massive waves, because you know how really powerful shapers could use waves to crash ships into rocks, which literally happened in the story. They could summon waves of water to ride through the jungle really quickly. They could manipulate water, just whatever. So the whole expel from Orazca thing, that's summoning a buttload of water all at once because you're in control of the immortal sun. So that's what happens when the merfolk control it. And they said, almost word for word, that when a member of the Sun Empire controls it, their magic is to summon dinosaurs. So they can summon the 3 sleeping primals, the primal dinosaurs, the really super giant ones, that all cost way the hell too much mana. They can summon them from the city. They're sleeping in the city. So does that mean that concurrently as this is going on, that Angrath and I guess Maya and Angelo made it to the center spire and now they kicked out the vampires? Kind of makes you wonder what the vampires would do, because I've seen all the cards from Rivals and nothing jumps to mind as to what their magic is. So maybe they don't control the whole King of the Hill spire very long. I don't know. Oh, wait. There's the whole Vona's golden whatever, aura, something, kill everything around her, whatever. So I guess that's her superpower, is kill everything. How creative. Very vampire. So why did Huatli summon it, and why didn't it stick around? It doesn't really match up with what the lore says. Sounds like, Orazca just woke up, so did Dino Guy, now he flew away. Yay, no magic needed. I don't know, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, and they just, like, they can control the dinosaurs, but they wake up on their own or something like that. I don't know. And then get this, okay, so this contradicts the story too, to an extent. Vraska comments, because story, you cast that illusion more quickly than I've seen you do it before. Yeah, because she noticed that, sure. And he's like, oh, I can remember the skills my mentor taught me now that I have my memories back. I learned more from him by the time I was a teenager than I ever did teaching myself. So apparently, like, because he lost his memories of being a kid earlier, I believe, so then he had to teach himself to use his mental magic again. And so she even asked, so teenage you had more refined technique than adult you? And he says, and now current me has the knowledge of both. So in other words, yes. And then Vraska says, you're incredible, you know that, right? Oh my god, get a room, you two. Jeez, you know what's a lovely place to get married? Orazca. I'm just throwing it out there. So it's not because of his proximity to the immortal sun, which doesn't make sense. Unless Huatli, aka Maya Angelou, is still there, or already there. And I don't freaking know how this crap works. Okay, so I've been adding little things here and there as jokes to this storyline, but I am 100% serious, where after she says, you're incredible, you know that? And he says, I do my best. And then she's like, well, your best is incredible. No joke, that's what they said, okay? Out of nowhere, he says, Liliana, or no, he doesn't say, he thinks it, internal monologue here. Liliana never told Jace he was incredible. Liliana would have scoffed. She would have made a dismissive joke, rolled her eyes, and called him a show-off. She would not bother to talk to him for days. She would consume the body of a demon with a crocodile's jaws and laugh over the sound of its flesh tearing off. Sounds like a keeper to me. I mean, is she single now? Are they not together now? I'll call her up. She would do all sorts of things, but she would never call him incredible. Now it says, Jace caught up with Vraska as she walked and they approached the central tower. Okay, two things wrong with that. One, have you seen the artwork from multiple cards? This place is a labyrinth on par with, like, the one on frickin' Azorius or whatever, the Ravnica, I don't remember what's what. Secondly, they just said that all the stupid compass does is point to the center. It doesn't say go left, go right, whatever. So they should be thoroughly lost in this freaking labyrinth. Now, Kumena was guided by the voice in his head that told him where to go, and that allegedly was the voice from the Immortal Sun. The vampires, I have no idea. Probably just, like, smelled Kumena or something. I don't know. But Jace and Vraska, since they said that the compass don't work, they have no reason to be, quote, approaching the central tower that quickly. That is ridiculous. I'm just going to say Jace is clairvoyant and he floated with an astral projection above the maze and then whatever. I'm going to add it for him. You're welcome. So they come up on the back door, as they refer to it as, which is the one with the giant lock and all that. And I guess the front door is the one where you just walk right in. That was very strange in the last chapter. Just throwing that back out there. And then black smoke is swirling around the top of the tower. That's always good. Did the vampires get here first? Vraska asked. I'm going to answer that, Vraska. Sounds like it. Black smoke is kind of their thing. Actually, no, seriously, that is their thing. That's how they hide their ships. I totally just remembered that. I'm getting my memories back too, just like Jace. Oh, shit, that's right. My childhood sucked. I'm going to go cry with Jace in the corner, and we're going to hold hands and talk about our feelings. So they're like, yeah, the rolling inky clouds gave them their answer. So in other words, yeah, that is classic vampire magic. So we're basically where we left off, where the vampires threw Kumena out the window. Strange that they didn't see that. So Vraska just tries to shove open the gate. That doesn't work because it's locked with like an 8-foot wide lock. Look at the artwork. And then Vraska says, have at it. You're the maze guy. I assume that's a reference to Ravnica. I mean, I know that much about the lore. That's actually pretty funny then. Oh, apparently the lock itself is actually also a maze because remember Azorius. Or Azor, I mean. He likes mazes. He's obsessed with mazes. I could see why he'd want to live in Orazca. Anyway, Jace is like, oh, I get it. And then he's like super smart. So he traces the solution with his finger and leaves, quote, a line of blue magic. He's literally doing a maze, like on the back of a cereal box. It should just be tic-tac-toe, where you have to like beat like the Guardian, the golden Guardian of Orazca at tic-tac-toe. Oh, I could make a Bill and Ted reference. But anyway, The churning black sky above inspired him to hasten his pace. You think? No, rushing puzzles and rushing mazes, haste makes waste. This is all I'm going to say. By the way, if you literally want a photo of him doing this, Azor's Gateway, look it up. So the second that he reaches the center, he can extend his senses to see what's on the other side of the door, I guess because like the lock's open or whatever. And immediately he's like panicking, throws up a mental shield around him. And she's like, dude, what's wrong? Oh my god, I thought it was Azor trying to like mentally assault him, but apparently he would have already stopped the vampires and the merfolk, so maybe not. He's like, oh, that's the symbol that just appeared above our heads every time we try to planeswalk. It's the symbol of Azorius. See, even he solved it that quick, guys. When we saw it on the card, everybody on Reddit was like, no, it's different. It's different, you guys. It's very, very, very slightly different because it doesn't have a maze on it. It's just a circle and a triangle. Anything could be a circle and a triangle, and then some bullshit about the Deathly Hallows. Yeah, you guys, yeah, it's a Harry Potter crossover, and Harry Potter's gonna be a planeswalker, yeah, Jace is literally like, oh, it's that symbol, Azorius, like, just, boom, Azorius, just like that. Even I solved it that quick, you guys, my god. But then it says he actually did do, like, a little mental scan, and he sensed that somebody was in the room, so, then Vraska says, were there any famous Azorius planeswalkers? Yeah, there was. Oh, wait, no, that was Jace asking Vraska that, but whatever. Oh my god, this is the crappiest foreshadowing I've ever heard. Vraska's brow furrowed. I don't know. There isn't exactly an index. It's the Azorius. We all know there's an index. There's probably an HR department. It would have to be someone high up in the organization. Someone who saw that symbol as their own personal identity. Oh, wait, no, now he's saying... I don't know who is asking who what, and at this point I don't care. I just assume the author screwed up, even though it's probably me reading it wrong. Gee, guys, who has the Azorius symbol as their personal identity? Can you solve the mystery? Maybe while you're at it, you could tell Dora where her damn lost monkey is. He's probably in Orazca at this point. He'd be in Chimichanga because she's Mexican. And then, even though the lore literally contradicts this word for word, she answers, or he answers, or someone answers, it actually doesn't specify at this point because the author is even confused. The Parun of Azorius was Azor. Don't know what a Parun is. Jace scanned the room again and froze. He did not know who was inside, but he instantly knew what was inside. The person's mind was familiar. Labyrinthine. I don't think that's the correct adjective. A mind like one... a mind like only one he had ever encountered before. Take two on that one. Yeah, well, last time we got in a mind battle with the Sphinx, he nuked his brain. He actually did more damage to Alhammarad's brain than if he had simply watched, like, 37 straight minutes of CNN. So then Jace is like, okay, I'm pretty sure that's a Sphinx. Was Azor a Sphinx? And Vraska's like, And then Vraska, instead of answering, she's like, oh my god, I know Jace is like super triggered by Sphinxes. And then she literally mentally thinks at him, you'll never be hurt by a Sphinx ever again. No, isn't that sweet? Jace could have hugged her here and then. He remembered her preferences and settled for a thankful smile. Oh, that's right, she doesn't like to be touched. These two are such frickin' SJW, like fake PTSD douchebags. Can I just throw that out there one last time? You ever notice how any of those like red-haired psychotic, like I'm at a rally holding a sign, red-haired nut jobs are always like, I have PTSD, I'm sensitive, I don't like being touched, I'm so damaged, poor me, feel bad for me. You and Boogie2988 need to shut the hell up with that crap. And then Vraska tells him, I'm going to charge up my petrification magic, give me the word and he's dead. And honestly, that would make some pretty baller concrete lawn art. Okay, so they push open the doors, and let me just say, okay, the first thing, Azor, why did the other people just climb up and get around it? Like, if you're the Guardian, and there's a big old lock, and there's, like, a chamber, and, like, why did they do, what did they do, jump? I don't even remember what Kumena did, like, float or fly, or, like, a grappling hook or something. It was just like, oh, look, I bypassed it. Maybe you should have thought of that, Mr. Wise Sphinx, unless they're using its power, but they're, like, above the actual item, which kind of it looked like. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to reveal this. Well, it does say there's a big old throne, but then embedded in the ceiling is like a big old magical circle thing. So they are indeed below that other control room, I guess. Overlook, gazebo, deck, whatever it is. I know it has windows because Kumena went flying out one of them. So then Vraska just walks up when he says, who approaches? And she's like, all right, let me break it down for you. 2 strangers to this world, tell us your name, step out of the way, and give us the immortal sun if you do not wish to die. Okay, this is what we would call a D&D character with very low charisma and a very poor interaction stat. Oh wait, interaction is Gamma World. I meant to say diplomacy. So he fires back, I am Azor, the Lawbringer, and you will be a prisoner for the 3rd time in your life, Gorgon. So he must have read her mind and been like, oh, that's right, she was in prison on Ravnica twice. And then Jace is like, oh, burn. And then she's like, oh my god, Jace, we are so breaking up. Just kidding. Instead, Jace threw up a big old psychic ward between the Sphinx and Vraska because he didn't want her reading her mind. Whatever. That pony's already left the barn, I'm just saying. And then Jace is like, oh my god, this guy is exactly like a Homerat. How rude. And so then Jace says, you will refer to her as Captain. And then he looks over to Jace and he says, okay, what does that make you? Oh, this is interesting. He actually remembers this. He says, I am Jace Beleren, the Living Guild Pact, he said with confidence. And the Sphinx's wings flinched. The failsafe? And then he answers, the pirate. And that's actually where this chapter ends. Very interesting from such a weak start. But that's like the failsafe was like, I don't know, the guild pact was negated or it got destroyed or whatever. And then something about the maze and they had to get to the center of the maze. And if they didn't, then Supreme Verdict would come down and wipe out all of the guilds, I think. And then on this episode of Des completely eviscerates the lore from a thing that he didn't read. I think then Jace was like the only one to make it to the center of the maze, and then he became the Living Guild Pact, which was the backup plan, aka the failsafe. That's why Azor is like, oh, the failsafe, that thing I designed. So that was that reference. So that's it for this chapter. Very interesting, tons to cover. I'm super excited for chapter 3, and hopefully Jace continues to not act like a little bitch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next story.